Good evening. Welcome once again to the U Talk Show, where we talk tonight a little bit more about identitarianism and why it's cooked. So, obviously, we don't like to talk endlessly for no reason. I should hope that's obvious. Obviously, we feel that there is a problem here to solve. So, why is identitarianism a problem? What is identity politics doing to our society? Kyle, I spent too long in Newtown to have good answers to these questions. You're it.
Well, okay. First, let me move my camera back. That way I don't kick it. Yeah, I forgot to do that at the beginning of the thing.
It's fine.
Yeah. And then, uh, all I can say about Newtown is, all of the hipsters there, they need to be culled immediately, ruthlessly, and as violently as possible.
I think that might get us demonetized.
That's all right. We'll get demonetized anyway. Don't you worry about that. Besides, we're not
Honestly,
running
though,
ads anyway.
the hipsters in Newtown don't need to be culled. I just feel like
Quarantines? I'm stuck.
re-educated. Stalinism intensifies.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so what effect does identity politics have in our society? Well, it's both simple and the answer is
Complex.
simple. The answer is simple. The explanation is less so. So the
Of
first
course.
great effect that it has is that it wastes our time and energy by manipulating us into fighting each other rather than actually solving problems. That's a big one. Um, Essentially, take the media for example.
I'd
Media, we
rather
have
not
five,
take the media.
not like that. Stop it. Um, okay, so the media, it's there are five media machines, all owned by big corporations, except for one of them, which basically does exactly the same as the others, but more subtly so. And they present politics in terms of identity a lot. Now, what happens when they do that? Somebody watching, they might hear about this, like, I don't know, the latest thing about the LGBTQ plus whatever it is. You know,
LGBTQIA plus is the current acronym.
yeah, that thing. So essentially, they might hear about that, and they might hear, from Murdoch Media, Sky News,
Mm-hmm.
how it's terrible, it's destroying the family and culture, and then they'll hear from Channel 9 how it's like, some random thing like, well, wait, are they man or a woman? Can't they just make up their mind? Or, whatever it is.
Oofed.
Then there's like Channel 7 and the ABC, who are like, you know, with sort of similar things, like also Channel 10 even. They're all just like, if you're voting like to the same-sex marriage plebiscite, they were like, if you're voting no, we just want to know why. This whole concerned mother voice that they put on. And essentially it's the thing is,
I'm going to just point something out here regarding the same
yeah,
sex marriage plebiscite, right? The
yeah.
Marriage Act was explicitly altered in the early 1990s, I think in 1991, to be defined as a legal bond between a man and a woman. That distinction
I thought
did
that
not
was later.
previously exist. No,
I
that
thought
was
that
like
was
the
later
early
during the Howard.
90s.
I thought that was during the Howard era.
That
I thought during the Howard era that was. I might be
I'll
wrong though.
quickly check. I think you're right, actually.
Yeah. And
Um,
while you're checking that, so essentially what it manipulates us into fighting each other about these issues, which ultimately don't have an answer in most cases. You know, like they're very shallow and petty,
I'm sorry,
most of
it was
which being there are.
2004.
Yeah, see, I told you it was during the Howard era.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
It's all right. I'll
I got
just do the I
confused
am.
because the Marriage Act was 1961.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it
yeah.
was Philip Ruddock
It's all
who
right.
introduced the amendment bill to formally define it as
Yeah,
between a man and a woman, specifically to block out same-sex marriages that had been performed in other jurisdictions.
yeah, yeah. So, it's all right. I'll just do the I was right dance in front of you next time I see you. Um, don't know what that dance looks like, but
Just hover a default dance over my video window for that. That's fine.
something like that.
But yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
So marriage,
Anyway,
the
so yeah,
same-sex
so
marriage plebiscite.
yeah, so basically, things like that. I mean, there's so much time spent on that, and it's easy to get people riled up because if you're being, like, take the whole straight white male thing, like essentially on part of it, there has been some attacks on, well, people simply for being straight white males, but for the most part, other than the few very radical idiots out there, there kind of hasn't been. But what much like what the media does with a lot of other things is they'll hyper focus on that.
Magnify the
Yeah, they'll
effect.
magnify. Yeah, they'll put a magnifying glass on it. I actually was explaining this to somebody today, and imagine a collage, just a huge image with everything that politics involves. Now imagine a tiny part of that collage is, you know, uh, this one crazy feminist in the UK put a hashtag on Twitter, which was hashtag kill all white men. It did happen, but it was some small time feminist that doesn't matter. And the media just hyper
Seized on it.
magnified that to make it,
They
yeah, they
seized
made
on
it
it
look
because
like
it
it
was
was the
controversial.
entirety of politics. It's like that instead of being this tiny little thing that
It's
doesn't
like
matter.
one stitch in an embroidery.
Yeah. Only they act like that one stitch is all there is. And so that's, essentially by doing that, they're drawing our attention there, and they're adding fuel to the fire of negative emotion, and they're
Okay,
causing us
but
to
the
fight each
negative
other.
emotion itself, like,
Well, the negative emotion is, hey, white men are being attacked, and then the viewer, a white man is like, wait, why am I being attacked? What did I do? And then
I was
then they
taught
get
in
defensive.
therapy, right? I was taught in
Mhm.
therapy. Yeah, we're going back to therapy tales. It's therapy tales hours. I was taught in therapy that we maybe cannot control our emotional reactions, but we sure as hell can control how we choose to act upon them. And that
Yeah,
that is a big part of dealing with anger,
yeah,
resentment, sadness, but it's also a big part of dealing with positive emotions. Like you don't be like, I graduated, time to go out and get shit faced, and then have a problem where you've become too drunk and you've made a regrettable choice.
yeah,
In the same way that you don't say I'm angry and then decide to punch a hole in the wall.
yeah.
You
And the
take a
thing is
step
with that
back.
though, is that on that, even that, what the if the media is focusing on that non-stop, the
It's
effect,
exhausting.
yeah, the effect is it makes us tired, it makes us miserable, and it manipulates us into fighting each other and not addressing real problems. And that's the second big thing there. It distracts us, diverting our attention away from the most important issues. Did most
Yeah, you
people
know what the
most
most
people
important issue is right now? Allens have stopped producing fantails. There's not enough money in it for
wait,
them.
what?
Those are an icon from my childhood. Those are an icon from a lot of people's childhoods, and they're not making fantails anymore.
That cultural issue must be the priority number one. We need fantails.
It's socialized fantails.
Jesus. All right, all right, all right. We've only got 3 minutes left, so let's try not to go over time again. And by hell or high water, I will keep us to time. And
Okay
so,
then.
essentially, yeah, so it distracts us, diverts our attention away from important issues, and those important issues can be how corporations avoid. I mean, the most conservative estimates, and this was like back in 2015, was $50 billion a year. I have talked to some people since then. The
That's
updated
enough to cover
estimates,
our defense spending 12 times over.
yeah, and well, except for the new subs we bought, but that's another issue. Um,
They're not defense
the
spending, they're keeping the US happy spending.
I mean, I mean, that's another. We'll talk about that another time.
Hashtag Team Collins class.
Same here. But the thing is, that I mean, the updated figure is actually close to 120 billion. That's the updated figure that's been produced now. Is close
So
to about
that's 3
120.
lots of submarines,
Yes. So
or roughly 13 times out of no, roughly 20 times our defense spending.
something like that. Wait, do we only spend 12 billion a year on defense?
No, more like 5 billion.
Jesus, that's all right. Yeah, my math was off there, but still, wow, that's almost
Imagine if we
pitiful.
spent that on healthcare. Imagine if we spent that
Well,
on
I'd imagine
improving
if we
our
spent
social housing
120 billion
programs.
on healthcare. In fact, like one policy, I'm going to drag this away for a second, and say, one thing which I'm like, hey, 120 billion a year. We'd only need 20 billion a year to do the Murray-Darling economic development strategy. 20 billion a
Yep.
year. One sixth of that could fund one of the largest economic developments and the single largest creation of wealth in Australian history. Like, imagine the next 5,
18% of
6.
what corporations are dodging could revitalize an area that has been plagued with hardship time and time again and failed
Yeah,
by successive state and federal governments.
yeah, and allow not one but 2 generations of Australians to own their own home. 2 generations to own their own home. Single largest creation of wealth in the hands that need it most. But we're not doing that. So that is the effect. Is basically we have not enough money for healthcare, education, infrastructure, economic development projects like the Murray-Darling Economic Development Strategy, which you should totally check out our other videos
Because
to
we
see.
are being allowed to be distracted from issues that actually affect us in favor
Exactly.
of imaginary issues.
Yeah. Like, are white men evil or are feminists Nazis? I mean, the answer is yes to everyone, but
Yep, true. White man, definitely evil.
Yep, I'm very evil. I'm the most evil person on the planet, and my
I am
one of
so
my
evil
one
that
of
I
my
can convincingly roleplay Strahd von Zarovich.
oh god, most of our audience won't know what that is though.
Well, they can
Well,
look it up
another
and
time.
get some damn culture in them.
All right, and with that, I think we'll let you all go as we're about to run over time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Take care, y'all.